What's up, y'all? It's everybody's favorite Unc, and today we're doing something a little different. Today we're opening up some old shit. We're gonna hop into the Wayback Machine and we're gonna go all the way back to 2007 and take a look at the Jakks Pacific WWE Fury Unmatched Series 5 Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now this is a new series I'm gonna start doing on the channel where I look at some older figures, some older statues, things like that, and kind of see how they hold up compared to today's standards. This one I'm really interested to do, man, because I actually found this one for 40 bucks at Claire's Oddballs and Collectibles, which is a small antique shop that's right near me. If you watch the channel at all, you know I've been going there on my hunts. But I found this one for about 40 bucks, and I was really excited about it. I kept it in the box because I love the way the packaging looks. And I just always kind of had it out with my wrestling display, just had it in there in the box chilling. And maybe 2 or 3 months after I bought this, I walked into a GameStop and I noticed that there was a re-release of this statue. And it's a newer version. I believe it's resin. I believe the newer statue is resin printed. I could be wrong. There's nothing really on this or that I could find online that tells you what the newer statue or this one is made out of. I couldn't really find a lot of information on that general release one that I saw at GameStop. It was around 50 bucks though, and I know with the 30% off and the 20% off clearance sales they've been running, I saw it again for about 30. I will say though, there is another more high quality premium version of the statue made by PCS Collectibles, and it's limited edition. It's about 600 bucks, and it has a much better sculpt. It comes with a different piece for it to stand on as far as the base goes, but we'll get into that when we get into the aesthetic and all the good stuff. But I'll tell you right off bat, if you're not like me and you were aware before you were going to purchase this one that there was newer ones, definitely go with the newer one. I will say for me, one thing that I do value over those newer releases is that you have that old school jagged WWE logo. I just got a soft spot for that. That moment in time, just that era just means so much to me, coming out of the Attitude Era, going into the Ruthless Aggression Era. That was really the main time I was watching wrestling. So for that reason, I'm not mad at all that I have this one. And I don't really collect too many statues. Dragon Ball stuff, Dragon Ball Z particularly, and WWE or AEW, WCW, ECW wrestling stuff. Those are my two go-tos. I collect anything wrestling or Dragon Ball related. And to be honest with you guys, there isn't really much that I can say about Stone Cold Steve Austin that hasn't already been said. But since I do want to make this video a little bit more viewer friendly, I'm going to add in a little question for you guys out there. What is your favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin moment? For me, it was all the way back in 2001. My dad used to work at the Coliseum here in the city that I live in, and Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle had a cage match on Monday Night Raw, and me and my little brother got to go, and we had ringside seats right behind commentary, and Stone Cold Steve Austin himself was doing commentary, and it was so awesome, man. So that was my favorite Steve Austin moment. You guys can go ahead and leave yours in the comments down below. But let's take a look at this packaging. If you look at the front of the package, you've got that jagged WWE logo up there in the right hand corner, the one that's so near and dear to my heart. You got the Jakks Pacific and WWE Present Fury Unmatched Platinum Edition Series number 5 down there at the bottom, along with his name on the front. And if you look at the back of the box, you do see some of the other characters from this series. You got Bobby Lashley, who's still going hard today, just came off a championship run not too long ago. You got The Rock, you got Mankind, aka Mick Foley, and I don't know what other characters or what other wrestlers are in the other series. I do know that there is a Rob Van Dam Fury Unmatched statue with him hitting a nice high cross body. I only know that because I'm a huge Rob Van Dam fan, but regardless, I don't know what other wrestlers are in the other series. I'm sure you can do a quick Google search on those. If you look on the right hand side of the box, you have a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin wearing his Arrive, Raise Hell and Leave t-shirt. You've got on the left-hand side, you've got an actual picture of the statue with him raising his hands in the air, not flipping the bird, unfortunately. I don't think anybody would expect a WWE licensed product these days or even in 07 to have old Steve flicking the bird. And of course, you got that logo and the Stone Cold Steve Austin name down at the bottom. Let's crack this bad boy open and see what we got. Now, getting this guy out the box, you don't really get too much with old Steve here. It's pretty simple. You get an instruction manual, which I should have read because during this I did not, and I almost lost a piece. You get a little stage piece that's kind of cool, but it's kind of big, man. It's like really, really big for a stand piece for a statue. They honestly could have done something a lot smaller. And you also get the little piece that sticks into his boot to go on the stage. Now that's the piece that I almost lost because I just threw the plastic, and luckily they taped it in so it doesn't go anywhere. So if they hadn't taped that thing in, it might have went flying across my room and I may not have ever found it. So weird design choice by Jakks Pacific on that one, but it works well enough. Now we got Steve all out the box here, man. He's looking real awesome, looking real cool. The sculpt is really, really good for 2007, to be honest. Definitely not holding a candle to today's standards, especially if you get a chance to look at that PCS statue that's going online right now for about $600. The sculpt on that one is so good. You can see the veins in his arms and everything and the musculature. This one doesn't look too bad, especially for the price point that I got it at. My biggest gripe with the aesthetic of this statue is that it's way, way, way too dark. He looks like he's like Hispanic or something, man. And we all know Stone Cold Steve Austin is a country-fed white boy from Texas. So he could have been a little paler. He's a little too dark here. Maybe if they had added some more reds in that skin tone and took out some of the oranges and just made him a little lighter, I think it would have looked a lot better. But other than that, that's my main concern with the aesthetic of the statue. There's also some really, really bad QC issues as far as paint. The back of the knee pads are just painted terribly, like really, really bad. And for a 2007 product, it's not terrible. But compared to the newer versions of the statue, I would hope that these QC issues are all sewn up. Other than that, I did have some weird articulation. A statue isn't supposed to articulate, and the boot had a swivel in it, the left boot on mine, which is really weird because if it was on the right boot, that would make a little bit more sense because the right boot is the one that goes onto the stand, and maybe you can just kind of rotate them on that stand. But yeah, the other boot swivels a little bit, which is a little weird. I don't know if that's due to it being in the box for 16 years, but yeah, it swivels a little bit. But you can't really complain too much about a product this old. It looks really good for the time that it came out in. Like I said, I'm not sure what this one's made out of. I don't think it's resin material compared to the newer one. It's made out of different material. And also, I will say, compared to the newer releases, they have a necklace on it. His like signature little gold chain gave him a little bit of swag back in the day, seeing Steve come out with that chain on. The issue with mine is like there's no necklace, but what makes it worse is that there's a little seam in the neck, like a little crack, and it just kind of breaks up the sculpt and doesn't look as good. But that's just a minor nitpick, man. Minor nitpick when it comes to the aesthetic of Steve. When you open the box, you also get a cardboard backdrop. The cardboard backdrop is cool, man. It has like the old school WWE logo on it that we've talked about a lot in this video already. It's got a picture of Steve on both sides of the inside. My only issue with this cardboard cutout is that if you're gonna display it out of the box, the outsides of the cardboard cutout don't have anything on them. They just look like straight up cardboard. I wish that maybe they would have wrapped that print around or at least put the SCSA on the outside of it, or 316 or something to make it look a little bit more professional when you have it out of the box. If you have it displayed in the box, it's gonna do just fine. You got that WWE logo behind them, so that looks pretty cool. But just little things that they could have done to make the presentation a little bit better on this product. Besides, the sculpt being a lot better on the newer ones, and the paint being a lot better on the newer ones, the stand on the PCS version is way cooler. It's an actual corner of a ring, an actual turnbuckle, where he's standing up there and raising his hands up, whereas this one seems to be kind of like a part of the Titantron. And like I said, it's just really, really big, way too big for a statue. They could have definitely downsized it, kind of like how they do on some of those Solid Edge Works Dragon Ball statues where they have the little ankle piece that holds their ankle. Just something small like that so it doesn't take up too much space on your shelf. But yeah, man, that's honestly those are the main gripes I have about this product compared to the newer one. Honestly, it's not a bad statue at all, especially for the price point and for when it came out. So final thoughts on this thing, man. If you're a fan of Steve Austin, it's definitely a must-have. If you enjoy collecting vintage, then I say go for the old one. You can probably find the old one a little bit cheaper. The prices seem kind of funny on these because a lot of people who are wrestling fans aren't necessarily resellers. Like the Venn diagram doesn't really overlap too much. So some of them may overestimate the value of this item just because it is Steve Austin. If you go back earlier in the video and look at some of those prices, there are a few that are going on eBay and Mercari for like $100, which is wild. But I found this one for $40 at a thrift store. You can get that new GameStop one for around $30 to $50 depending on where you get it or if it's on sale. You got the PCS one for about $600 like I said. But if you're a vintage collector, this one is the way to go, especially with that old school WWE logo. If you're gonna take it out of the box and display it out of the box, don't even bother getting this one. This one is one you wanna keep in the box for the collection. So it's gonna be hard to give some of these older items, some of this old shit, as I coined it in the beginning, a number grade just because it's older. But I do kind of wanna grade it on a scale compared to when it came out now. So if I was to take the average of both of those grades, back in 2007, I would probably give this guy around an 8 back in 2007. Now I'll probably give this guy around a 6.5. So I'm gonna say with that average, I'm gonna go about a 7 for old Steve here. It's not too bad, and honestly, it's the Texas Rattlesnake, man. So anything having to do with Stone Cold is gonna look awesome on your wrestling display. You know, he's like the Goku of WWE. He can never do any wrong, and the more Steves you have, the better. But anyway, let me know if you guys have this in the comments below. What do you think about it? If you do, if you don't, are you planning on picking one up? And also, if you have anything you want to see on the channel, just let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and put on that notification bell so you don't miss it every time I drop a video. And until next time, peace.